What is the scariest thing you've ever seen while driving at night? I used to deliver pizza, and often had deliveries right at midnight when we closed. One time, late at night, I'm driving back to the store through a small neighborhood. Up ahead I see something. It's perfectly spherical, bright, shiny thing, just hovering about 6 feet off the ground. Not moving at all. I pull up very slowly. Still doesn't move. Still can't comprehend what I'm looking at. Just this shiny hovering orb in the road at midnight. At this point my curiosity has overridden my fear. I'm the guy in the horror movie who dies first because I just gotta know. Either I die or I get a cool story, right? So I hop out of the car and slowly walk up to it. I'm right in front of it and still can't understand what I'm seeing. So I reach out and touch it. It's a balloon. One of those foil birthday balloons with the streetlights shining on it, making it look weird out of context in the middle of the night on an empty road. This is my favorite response because it feels like exactly how I would react. Yep. Had a few of these moments in my life, where it's like for a moment my brain has temporarily disconnected all memories that would place the object, and I'm left in a state of complete childlike wonder, and then my brain comes back online, and all I can do is laugh. A 6-foot kangaroo standing in the middle of a pitch black road at 3 a.m. in the morning, missed it by a beestick. I slammed the brakes once because I saw a deer in my peripheral vision. Upon closer inspection, it was a mounted deer head on a stick in the middle of the woods. Slammed the gas after I realized that. Might have been a setup by game wardens to catch illegal poachers at night. What do they do? Sit somewhere and watch, or do they usually have cameras set up? In my state they sit hidden down the road. They've got these mechanical deer things that look pretty real and they try to get people to shoot them and then they get arrested for poaching, I guess. Maybe not poaching, but they'll definitely seize your firearms and give you a hefty fine for shooting from a vehicle, which I believe is illegal in every state, but I could be wrong about that. Yes, you can't shoot within 50 yards of a road, and you can't shoot out of a vehicle. Double fine. A dead, butchered horse laying in the road. Someone had completely skinned and butchered a horse, took the choice pieces of meat, and just dumped it on the highway. I almost crashed into it. WTF. I'm guessing it fell out of their truck on their way to dump it, or else they hit it on the road by accident and decided not to waste the meat. I've seen this happen with deer but never a horse. I assumed that they stole the horse, but this may have also been the case. I was driving home late one night and was driving on a dark stretch of the highway. Suddenly a body was in front of me. I tried to swerve out of the way, but it was too late. My bumper was hanging on the ground. The guy died. And I went to a nearby gas station not knowing what to do. Was 18. When the tow truck pulled my car up onto it, there were a bunch of blood and guts on the bottom. I couldn't get that image out of my head. Apparently a drunk driver with 5 DWIs had hit a guy on the motorcycle prior for years after I had serious depression and thought about it every night before sleep. That's awful. I can't imagine that. So sorry. Thank you. I think for the most part I've gotten past it, but it was rough for a long time and was hard to deal with everyday life. This sounds like PTSD. I was witness to a young man who had just been struck by a minivan while he was riding a motorcycle. I was one of the first to arrive, having pulled up not even 20 seconds after it happened. He was dead. There was no doubt that there was no saving this man, the poor kid. He was only 21, and I know this because for whatever reason he's been popping up in my life. For example, the singer in my band ended up knowing the mother really well. My wife happened to have the mother as a client for her small biz, and they get to talking and the mom starts telling the story about her son, and my wife said my husband was there. and the mom started crying. Then I was looking for a better barber and my buddy tells me to go to this one person to get my hair cut, and it turns out to be the young man's little sister. We've all become friendly since, and the mom always cries when I see her. She gives great hugs. Crazy world we live in. Point is, I was pretty screwy for a while, so I feel you. It helped to talk about it. It helped to heal. I remember I found the mom and sister on FB and wrote them a message that the young man did not suffer. They said it helped them to know. Did you ever find out who he was? I'm sorry you had to deal with that. I'm glad you've been able to try to contact them and find peace, and I did go to counseling, so that helped to know. I think everything was sealed. I was driving on the expressway around 2 a.m. and a semi hit a car and it went into the median. The car basically folded into itself and was beyond smashed. I can't imagine the person survived. It was incredibly sad and terrifying to see. A hitchhiker almost leaping out in front of my car on a dark forest road late at night. The woman literally popped out of nowhere. Had to drift into the oncoming lane. Luckily, there was no one else in painted median there. Read a police report that she ended up getting hit minutes after I drove by. She was intoxicated and running from the police. Pretty ducking creepy. I hope she's all right. I can't imagine what the driver that hit her was thinking. Driving to work at 4:30 a.m. and seeing a cyclist with his head split open and brains on the road. My friend and I were walking home at about 2 a.m. one night about 15 years ago. We see this car going in the opposite direction, clearly going way past the speed limit. As he's passing us, we see him go up on the curb and hit someone walking on the opposite sidewalk, decapitating them. This was before we had cell phones and everything was closed because it was such a tiny town. We ran as fast as we could to the nearest house, about 15 to 20 minutes away, and banged on their door until they opened it so we could call the cops. I still see it in my sleep sometimes. Saw a large pickup truck hit a pedestrian, which sent them flying about 20 feet forward. The truck then ran the person over and kept going. I was a teenager and didn't have a phone. I remember knocking on a random person's door for help, crying and yelling. I think the guy at the door probably thought someone was trying to murder me. While traveling east just outside Flagstaff, Arizona at around midnight, I was in the fast lane doing about 80 miles per hour. There was a bend in the road and you could see the headlights of the westbound lanes filter in between the trees. It was funny because I thought the lights kinda looked like they were coming at me. Then they really were. I screamed obscenities and jerked the wheel just in time to let a speeding wrong-way driver fly by me in the lane I was just in. After skidding to a stop in the shoulder, I called the cops to report it. Could you describe the vehicle? Yes, it was a dark blur with headlights. Wait, did they literally go through the median filled with trees? How does that even happen? No, they must have gotten onto the interstate from an off-ramp. The lights from the other direction were dim and somewhat far away as the highway was divided by about 100. When I saw the headlights coming for me, I briefly thought it was from the other side of the highway, but I realized just in time that it was a collision course. Similar thing happened to me in Corpus Christi. Driving a bunch of sleeping drunk people home at 2 a.m. about to get off on my exit, and this big truck comes screaming up the off-ramp. I slammed the brakes and the truck swerved, slammed into the concrete barrier, then drove off down the highway in the wrong direction. Talking to the cops was tough with a bunch of scared drunks freaking out in the back. A lonely abandoned shack with a bunch of arrows pointing to it, saying come in. Edit. To answer some questions, I was on my way to Texas to see family and the GPS took us down a back road. My mom and I joked that it was a sex dungeon. Bruh, I know these types of traps only exist in cartoons. With a bowl of seeds labeled free bird food C, no one really notices the big boulder over the bowl. Meet me. Frogs. Ducking. Everywhere. Like hundreds of frogs all over the road. Damn it, Moses. Damn it, Kermit. I was following a gray Toyota Tundra in a massive blizzard through Montana on McDonald Pass. He was going pretty quick most of the way but must have been unfamiliar with how steep the final few miles are. He got away from me as I slowed down to about 35. Not 5 minutes later I passed his tire marks in the fresh snow that went off the side of the mountain. Pulled over and looked down to see his truck upside down and on fire about 300 yards down. Called 911. He didn't die but was burned up pretty bad. Sad and scary, and don't go 50 in the snow just because you have a truck or 4WD. Dad was driving at night, and I was looking out the window and saw 2 red pinpricks in the cornfield, and it followed us. I told my dad about it and he said, in the most calm, casual tone for the situation, "Those are cornfield demons. Stay in the car and you'll be okay." Cue me freaking the hell out when he got out of the car not too long after to check a tire before getting back in. #X200B, I'm still not sure if that was an actual thing or if he was using a situation to his advantage to teach me to not do anything stupid like that at night. Either ways, it worked, and I still have no idea what those 2 pinpricks were. #X200B, #X200B, edit. Because you guys have no freaking idea what a pinprick is and cannot garner context from the rest of the passage, www.bing.com image search. View detailed 2ID79 depth faith 508791A1A95609877-47AA05ACC4C00 Thidoep.WOGCSM 6RZCT0 Keep Meteor of %38% 2F% 2Fishif.Byside.Company UK% 2 Features %2FW and %2 Flive% 2F6 24351% 2 Images %2 Flive% 2FP0% 2F2K% 2F99% 2FP0 2K99RN. Gets 351 XP 624 Canimals plus with plus glowing plus I selected index 0 Ajaxist 0 VT 0 IN1. Your dad is epic. He used to tell stories like that all the time to teach me to stay out of places I shouldn't belong. LOL. I guess he figured simply telling me no wouldn't suffice. One of the other stories he told was about this native named Cottonmouth, who was a great warrior who dipped his arrows in cottonmouth venom, hence his name, and one day he snapped and went on a mass murder spree, until someone took him out with one of his own arrows. He said that now if you're caught in the woods alone, if you hear hoofbeats, Cottonmouth is coming to get you. Living in an area where people rode horses plus deer, I believed this 100% the one time I strayed too far while playing, and soup. Back in the yard I went. Edit, corrected a severely miswritten line. A great warrior who dipped his venom in cottonmouth venom. Yo Cottonmouth, I heard you liked venom, so we dipped your venom in venom. It's the people riding deer who really ducked me up.